Brothers, sisters, neighbors, and friends, strangers one and all, long have we awaited this day. This day when we might chase our dreams to the stars, when our flights of fantasy might be made reality, when new horizons unknown even to our very conception might be revealed, and eventually mastered. For long has this dream been ours, long have we sought the mysteries beyond the sky, and in their pursuit we have learned much of ourselves, of our world, of technology. But there is so much left to discover, so many unknowns yet unbroached, so many questions left unanswered, and still others we know not yet to ask. And it is in the pursuit of this dream that we have constructed a masterpiece, a supercomputer the likes of none before it, capable of extraordinary feats of astronomical prediction with which we might reach for the stars, and constructed the pieces that were considered reasonably affordable at the time. And so, it is with great and auspicious pride that I say, hello and welcome to Last Level Press. I am Mr. Kerbal, and this is Kerbal Space Program. Behold and enjoy.
Welcome indeed, everyone. I am Mr. Black, and I've been looking forward to launching this series for a long time now. Having watched several other YouTubers' Kerbal content, I fell in love with this game before I had ever even played it, and now that I have, I absolutely adore Kerbal Space Program. Now, a fair and upfront warning to you all. If you're looking for a series of well-informed and enlightened tutorials, I may not be the Kerbal host for you, and I will happily direct you to Scott Manley's outstanding content. No, I'm a little less articulate than he, and certainly less gifted in the realm of mathematics and projection. How do I know this? Well, it's because I've already played a little bit of this game, at least enough to semi-reliably get things off of the ground without them exploding. When I don't want them to, at least. And I can hear some of you now, Mr. Black, why on Earth, or on Kerbin, more appropriately here, didn't you record your early experiences with this game? It would have been so hilarious to watch you fail! I thought about that. I really did. But this is not like most games. Kerbal Space Program is one that really requires one to put a lot of time into it to really understand it, and its early hours are really less the trial and error, hilarious explosion-laced, just cacophony of destruction that it would kind of lend itself to look like, and more just repetitive tutorials and figuring out what pieces even go together so that you can even put things together to explode in the first place. That is why I decided against recording my early experiences with this game. It's really just because I didn't think I could even make it with my own lovely, charming personality terribly entertaining for you all. So, I waited until I got the basics down, and now that I kinda do, let's break down what this game is for those in the audience that may not necessarily be familiar with Kerbal Space Program. As you can see, I've already started up a sort of flight profile here that I've been doing my experimentation in the early hours with. And at its core, Kerbal Space Program is an incredibly intricate and deceptively detailed aerospace physics simulator, in which you, the player, take control of the illustrious and namesake Kerbal Space Program here on the Kerbal Space Center, and all of these buildings factor into both, all but this factors into both of the core game modes to this game. There's the missions and challenges, which I haven't actually done anything with because they contrast rather highly with the otherwise sandbox secondary game mode, which I've spent all of my time in thus far, in which you're given all of the different pieces and resources, and you don't really have to worry about, budgeting. With the missions, you gotta get into space, or elsewhere onto asteroids, what have you, on a budget and with limited resources, and you kind of unlock things as you go. I am not ready for that. So, quick walkthrough of the Kerbal Space Center here. I used to not think that these were actually labeled. Violeta pointed out that I was a derp, and in the bottom left corner you can see that each of these facilities are labeled. So the one here at the very most bottom is Research and Development. That does not factor into sandbox mode because you don't need it. Everything is provided to you at the start. Over here is the tracking station. You can click on that to see where you've got active flights and orbits and things going on, and you can then recover your well, in my experience, crashed Kerbals and wreckage. But in theory, you could recover landed things. I've never done that, but you can do it. This, of course, would be the launch pad for the rocketry, which, of course, is all put together here in the vehicle assembly building. It's really the rocket assembly building, because next door is the spaceplane hangar, where you'll actually assemble anything from actually, like, aircraft or aerospace craft. You can make space planes in this game, and I have an enormous fascination with aerospace designs. It just kind of comes with the territory of growing up with an Air Force dad. So you guys may see more like airframes and airspace frames from my content than from some others, because that's just where I have more fascination. Now over here is the astronaut complex. I'll click onto this briefly because there are two distinctions of Kerbals. There are orange suits, who are the three just faces of this game. Most prominently, Jebediah Carmen, whom most, and I agree, all kind of adore. He's everybody's favorite Kerbal, and you'll find out why in good time. He is, of course, joined by Bill and Bob Kerman. And the orange suits are invincible. They can withstand all of the horrible, horrible atrocities that any Kerbal Space Program player will inevitably put their Kerbals through. They will continue to respawn and they won't die. It's these Kerbals, like Edis, Donwig, and Ronwell, those brave souls in the white suits that are burdened with the risk of mortality. I don't know, because I've only played, like I said, so much of this game, whether you actually get an infinite supply of Kerbals, because these are those that have been hired onto the illustrious Kerbal Space Program. Over here to the left are applicants, and they have exactly two statistic bars: courage and stupidity. I don't really know how those factor into what these Kerbals do, or if they only really reflect what their faces do, which you'll see in the bottom right corner when we get there, during mid-flights. I tend to, just in case they actually do factor in, like to hire Kerbals with higher courage than stupidity. But, you know, when you look at someone like Jeb has equal parts courage and stupidity, which really, I think, just might be a perfect blend for someone who basically lives as a crash test dummy for highly explosive things. Now then, all of that aside, I think I'll save the rockets, the grand attraction, for last, and introduce you all to the spaceplane hangar first. Let's see, I think, rather than building one from scratch, should I build one from scratch? Yeah, let's do that. Let's just do that so I can familiarize you guys with the basics of how this game works. Here in the construction, this works really the same way for either planes or rockets. The plane hangar just has the convenience of, by default, angling things horizontally rather than vertically, so that you're not trying to make a VTOL by default. And that, of course, you need a command pod, or in this case, a cockpit. Those are in this tab, and there are several tabs worth of pieces with which to assemble your various craft. And they don't just comprise hull pieces and wings and rockets and stabilization. You can, when you really get to understand this game, which I don't, actually attach like scientific modules and things like that to this game, so that you can set up like permanent orbits in space and moon and extraplanetary bases. I have no idea how to do that. So, for now, most of what you can see in the foreseeable future from me is going to more or less be along these lines of making experimental craft to try various ideas out upon. Now, while I put this one together, I'll simply note the basic assembly process as I go. We've got the command module, a couple of structural fuel tanks, which also double as the central fuselage, and now an engine to actually burn said fuel. There are two types of fuel when it comes to liquid fuel, and of course solid fuel is its own thing. Liquid comes in either non-oxidized or oxidized forms. What that means for the layman is that oxidized fuel doesn't need an air intake to ram oxygen into the engine so that it'll actually burn in the atmosphere. Oxidized fuel is for like liquid engines meant to actually go into space, where obviously there's not any air to suck into it. For that reason, most actually like terrestrial aircraft are going to... Why is my frame rate tanking? This game can be very GPU and CPU intensive. Just a fair warning. Let's attach that right there in the middle. There we are. There we go. We got a nice little Delta Wing aircraft going here. So, anyway, the distinction for fuel only really factors in when you start to get into really, really high altitude, which I'm probably not going to in this video. You know what? Let's give this a cool little double tail. There we go. Alright, starting to look like a plane now, isn't it? Now let's add under the utility tab some wheels so that we do not do what I accidentally did my first time and just plunk a plane down on the runway with no wheels and then expect it to just scrape along and somehow get into the air. Okay, this little circle, I almost called it a box, because yeah, I can definitely put the box peg in the round hole on the icon. Yeah, that's symmetry mode, which allows me to either put 2, 3, or sometimes even like 3 or 4 of whatever item I'm hovering onto a craft at one time. Oh, that's gonna angle really, really badly. Like, that's gonna tilt me backwards. I don't want that. So you can use WASD to kind of turn pieces around, which I didn't learn until a kind of shamefully long time into my experimentation with this game. Okay, that's still gonna tilt back a little bit, but I think that is semi-acceptable. Now you can put things like parachutes onto it and decouplers so that you can even make planes that have like Batman-style detachable cockpits with parachutes to save your Kerbals on impact. We're not gonna do that. Let's just go to launch. Alrighty, I forgot to name this thing. Oh well, I'm probably not going to be keeping it. I've got several of my test flight aircraft saved, so... Oh, I forgot! No control surfaces, aka flaps. Well, let's demonstrate to you all. Oh, well my engine didn't even fire. Oh right, because I spent all of that time harping about needing an air scoop and then didn't install one. Hang on! There we go! Now I've fixed it. Alright, now we've actually got proper control surfaces, known to the layman as flaps, and I've attached a big, gaudy, like, muscle car style air scoop to my engine. So let's take that to the airfield and see if I can actually get this thing into the air. Like I said, I'm still very much a beginner at this game. I've only spent enough time to really know at least what pieces I should put onto a craft to make it do thing X. Alright, so shift to increase throttle. I really like the subtle visual effects, like how you can see... Oh, we're wobbling. Oh, no. Oh, just pull up, get off the air. No, don't get off the air. Get in the air, get off the ground. There we go. Alright, so now you use WASD to actually control. We're gonna press T to turn on SAS. SAS is more or less not really quite autopilot. It actually functions a little bit more like cruise control in that whatever direction, whatever your heading is, whenever you turn that on, or when you make adjustments to it, it'll just automatically make the flap and thrust adjustments to keep you going in that direction. So, that would be a successful aircraft launch. Now, this thing will not get me into space. It just won't do it, because I've got no way of actually providing thrust outside of an oxygen-laden atmosphere. And even though one of the few claims to fame and skill that I have in the realm of gaming is actually being quite good at competitive dogfighting simulators and things of the like Ace Combat is a game that I'm very, very good at, or rather a series. Those are controlled with a gamepad of some sort. Preferably, for me at least, with a Sony controller. This controls with a mouse and keyboard, and therefore I find myself only able to really control aircraft in a very basically rudimentary fashion. Now, we could take the time to try and circle the airfield and go land, but for the sake of keeping this video rather concise, now that we have the basics of aircraft construction down, let's go and visit the rocket hangar, shall we? Alright, into the rocket assembly hangar we go. Obviously, this one has a much higher ceiling to it. What should we build? We're gonna build a small one at first. We're gonna stick with the little Mark 1 pointy cockpit. It's adorable, although it really does look more like an aircraft cockpit than a space plane, or rather a spacecraft cockpit. But, oh well, let's see here. What should we slap on? Let's find some manner of... what is this? Super heavy booster designed to be recovered after jettisoning. No, I don't want a jettisonable sort of fuel. Where are one of the smaller fuel tanks? Are you small? Yes, you are. Good. We're going to attach you, followed by... you. Oh, never mind. That would then end up looking a bit like the little spaceship from the end of Titan AE, which I may end up building one of these times, because one of the things that I want to do with future episodes in this series, because this is going to be a series. I've been looking forward to getting my hands on Kerbal Space Program for such a long time now, because there's so much potential to do fun things with it. But I want to try and recreate various craft from fiction and from real world, and, you know, things like the Titan AE spaceship, I think, could be one of those. Now, where in the world is Carmen San Diego? Where is the decoupler? There we are. Okay, so we've now got... I'm trying to cover my bases here. I've got a cockpit, I've got a decoupler, I've got fuel, I have an engine, I need fins. Where is a suitable fin? We'll use that one, because that looks kind of cool. It almost looks like the fins from the YF-23 Black Widow stealth plane that never really took off. It was bested by the F-22, which is kind of a shame, because I think the Black Widow looked cooler. Alright, there we go. This is going to be a tiny little short-range bullet of sorts. I have no idea what kind of height we'll actually get with this thing. This is actually the smallest space rocket. I think that's going to be a misnomer. I don't think this thing is even going to make it to space that I've ever built. So before we send it into the air, we need to come over here to the Utilities tab and find some radial mount parachutes. That way, when I actually set off the decoupler, I won't kill my poor Kerbals, like I have before. A lot. You guys should know early on that I watch a lot of, like I said, other YouTubers' Kerbal content, and while I can really appreciate the thoughtful and well-articulated explanations that someone like Scott Manley provides, I am just not mathematically inclined the way he is, so you'll find that my content is probably going to lean somewhere more to the direction of more destructive trial-and-error Kerbal players, the likes of Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. Yeah, lots of trial and error. Now, one of the things that I haven't pointed out yet is that down here in the bottom right is the staging bar. One of the harsh lessons that I learned early on is that staging, despite being numbered from the top down, is actually executed from the bottom up. So, number 0, 1, 2, and 3 will not operate in that order. It will flact, be 2, 1, 0. I was wondering why things were exploding on the tarmac and not actually going anywhere for an embarrassingly long time. Now we'll go over to structural and slap on some clamps. There we go. Hey, click. Put the clamps on the chip. The chip. There we go. Whoa, that looks weird. Whoa. Hang on. The auto symmetry acts weird sometimes, I should note. Okay, that'll do. What are we gonna call this thing? We are going to call this... we're gonna call this the Bullet, because that's really what it looks like, complete with, like, flanges, or not flanges, what am I thinking of? The little winglet thingies. Okay, anyway, let's save it and launch. I'm actually really curious as to what this thing is going to do. Okay, now you'll notice here the time warp thing that pops up. There is a really high-powered time warp thing you can do. It's really only useful when you get into space and you're basically waiting for like literal in-game months at a time for, you know, ships and craft and everything to orbit around different astral bodies. But that's getting boring, so let's throw something into the air. Launch! Ooh, alright, we actually made it up. That's what she said. Okay. So, once again, I really like some of the little visual effects that go a long way. Like the fact that you can see the metal on the engine getting hot and turning red. And that different times of day will actually reflect in the sky differently. Now the sky gets darker as you gain atmosphere. Okay, now we're tilting a little bit. There we go. All right, let's straighten out and then turn. No, stop wobbling. Stop wobbling. Stop wibbly wobbling. There we go. All right, SAS on. Keep pointing up. All right, there we go. So you can see down here in the bottom right, Jebediah is just having a grand old time. Oh yeah, Jebediah is absolutely ecstatic. I love that little Kerbal. He's my favorite. I want a Jebediah plushie. I'm gonna be like Violeta. I want a Jebediah plushie. Let's see what Jebediah sees. Let's click on. No! Oh God! Wrong button! Jeb, I'm so sorry! And it suddenly got really quiet. Look at that face! That is the grin of a madman. He looks so happy, like, look how high up I am. Yeah, look how high up you are, Jeb. You are 34,000 meters in the air. We're so high, we can see space. Oh, congratulations, Jeb. You can see the moon. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to click IVA, intra-vehicle A, not EVA, extra vehicle A. I don't know what the A stands for, but yeah, you can get out of your ships, so you can put boots on the ground on like the moon, or the moon, or other planets, or asteroids. But, oh my God, he's still going up! He's so lightweight! His momentum is still carrying him up! He's still accelerating, well, not accelerating, but still going forward. He's at 47,000 meters! What's his rate of acceleration? Does it say? I can click the abort. I should probably do that, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna yet. Does he have any lights? Does he have helmet lights? No, he doesn't. I'm still learning what some of these UI things do. Oh, and now he's really happy. Look at that grin! Jebediah! You're a dreamer, sir. Godspeed! So, now is as good a time as any, I think, to, oh, I think he's finally starting to drop. Yep, he's dropping. I think now is as good a time as any to show off what the time warp function does. Oh, you poor... Oh, he's probably gonna burn on re-entry. Let's watch. Let's watch. I'm a terrible person. I don't know, is he high enough to start burning in re-entry? I think you've got to be at like 60 or 70,000 meters before that becomes a concern. Oh, you poor man! Oh my. Oh, look at that. That's definitely... That's gotta... Oh, look! I found the space station! Oh, there he goes. There he goes. He's a-burnin'. That has got to be the thumbnail for this video. And now he's getting a little bit concerned. He's like, wait a minute. That's the moment Jeb realized things had gone terribly wrong. And now he has accepted his fate. Oh! He disappeared! He just dissolved on impact. Well, that could have gone better. Welcome to Kerbal Space Program, everyone. I am Mr. Black here at Last Level Press, and I'm sure ungodly, unspeakable horrors await. I can't wait, can you? I already know what I'm doing on the next episode, so stick around for that. I am Mr. Black here at Last Level Press. I just said that, I don't care. Thank you all for joining me, good gaming, and Godspeed, everyone.